Hi, I'm Susan Biggs, Director of the Sydney Peace Foundation. Welcome to A Climate of Peace, a series of interviews with leading thinkers and change makers about the link between climate action, peace and justice. These are short sessions designed to give you an insight into ways people can, should and are taking climate action. Today I'm joined by Natalie Isaacs, founder and CEO of the not-for-profit 1 Million Women and author of Every Women's Guide to Saving the Planet. Welcome to A Climate of Peace and to Natalie Isaacs. Hi, Natalie.
Hey, Sue.
Thanks for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
It's great to have you. I'm just going to ask you 4 questions, and the last question is our signature question, which we're asking everybody. So let's start. You've spent many years now building 1 Million Women, a global movement for change. Why have you done that, and what drives you?
I don't know how to answer that in a short answer. So why did I start 1 Million Women? So very quickly, I used to be a cosmetics manufacturer. I was nowhere on this journey at all, head buried in the sand, thought climate change was somebody else's issue. But a little over a decade ago, I got our household electricity consumption down by just doing something simple, just by being more vigilant around the house, saw the electricity bill, saw I had saved a whole heap of pollution and money at the same time. And it was at that moment I realized I was powerful through the things that I do every single day. And imagine if millions of us got their electricity consumption down, that must do something. And that really is what prompted me to start 1 Million Women, because I thought that there must be millions and millions of women out there like I was, disengaged for whatever reason. And if I could tell them my story, that I did actions in my own life and it really shifted the way I lived, that everybody else would want to do the same. And so that was really why I started 1 Million, because I realized that as individuals and as a collective and as women, that we are incredibly powerful to shift the system. And why do I keep doing it? Because I deep in my heart, I truly believe it, and I see it and I witness it every day, that when you profoundly change the way that you live, you influence others to do the same. You get personally involved on this issue, and the climate crisis needs us all. And it takes you from the camp of inaction right through to using your influence, using your voice, and using your vote to hold politicians accountable for their inaction.
So why do you think it's been such a contentious issue in Australia, climate action? Because it has, and over the years it's caused so much angst for governments and business and civil society. Why? Why do you think that's the case?
Well, when I started 1 Million Women, there was actually bipartisan support for climate change, and then that very rapidly deteriorated with a new government. And you know what, Sue? I think that when I look at this last decade, when it comes to civil society, there has been enormous change. You know, we went from, when I started 1 Million Women, from something like 1,200 houses with solar on their roofs to now over 2 million, and we're actually leading the world. It's like a solar rooftop revolution. The people are engaged. This is personal. You know, you think about the bushfires of late, at Christmas. Everybody was affected by that. You know, you look at, we're witnessing the Great Barrier Reef dying before our eyes. You know, this has become an incredibly personal story, and I think, you know, almost every Australian is engaged with this. The problem is political will. That is where this issue lies. And if a government doesn't believe, and belief is the wrong word here, but if they don't think climate change is happening, or they're not listening to the science, and that the coal industry, you know, we still have 60% of Australia is powered by coal, and our exports are huge. And so when you have that reliance, it's very hard to give it up. And so it really is about this political will. But we've all witnessed that people have got the point, and it's just a matter of you know, using our influence and using our vote and making sure that we do not, you know, let politicians get into power if they don't have climate action at the top of the agenda.
So what are going to be the consequences, do you think, for our society, for a peaceful and just society, if we continue to fail to address this?
We cannot fail. Like, we just cannot fail. We have to stay optimistic, and we have to have that fierce determination that we will not fail. Failure cannot be part of the story, because we have to. We cannot let that happen for the sake of humanity. We cannot let that happen, and we have a small window of opportunity here to not let failure be the case. You know, when you think about what's been happening through COVID and people in lockdown, and the emissions around the world have been reduced by something crazy like 20%, and you know, waterways are clear, and you know, there has been a time where we've been given space. And I know it's come from tragedy and adversity, but even so, we have been given this space to actually reimagine a new world. And to, I think that is an incredible opportunity that we have, and we cannot let that go. And so everybody right now, we've got to think about our roles in every aspect of society, because the climate crisis needs everybody. It needs us all acting at the same time. It needs governments. It needs, you know, countries. It needs cities. It needs communities. It needs households. It needs individuals, and it needs all of us acting at the same time. And so I see that there is this opportunity now to turn this into a green path forward, and all the millions and trillions of dollars that is going to be spent right now on boosting the economy. It has to be put into green jobs, a just transition. But when you look at, sorry, Sue, but and just to bring into that, you know, you look at the whole Black Lives Matter stuff that's happening. It's showing us all that you cannot have climate justice without social justice and without racial justice. And we just need to do it. We need to really work as one community now, and we no one can sit on the fence, and we cannot leave anyone behind.
And so what do you think, if there was one action that could ensure that we move towards a safer climate for everyone, what would that be?
I mean, I have a lot of one actions, but right now it is to use your vote. To use your vote so that the political will is there. And without our vote, we can't change the world. We can change the world, but right this minute, we need our vote. We cannot let politicians get into power. If climate action, climate justice is not at the top of the agenda. I mean, I do have a few others, but that would be...
Okay, what's the second one?
Another one actually would be right this moment to look where you're investing. Who are you banking with? Where is your superannuation or your insurances with? Because one of the most powerful things we can do is make sure that where we're putting our money is aligned with our values. And if we're investing our money in banks and institutions that invest in fossil fuels, then we should immediately switch. So that's my second tip. Yeah.
Thank you, Natalie, for a really insightful and interesting interview. And thank you for all the advocacy work that you do on behalf of all of us and the planet. And for everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed this session of A Climate of Peace. The Sydney Peace Foundation exists to advocate for peace with justice. Find out more and support our work by following our social media pages or checking us out online. See you next time.